Hello, I am Meghan Miles, and this is the True Crime Bride. Welcome to the True Crime Bride. I'm Meghan Miles, and today my guest is my groom.
What up, what up?
The Aaron Downs, the @down with Aaron on TikTok and Instagram, and the famous man that he is. How are?
I feel fantastic.
Do you feel fantastic?
I'm happy to be here.
Are you happy? Because I feel like I had to bamboozle you into this a little bit because I've just been very excited about this. The work I've done on this episode.
Well, you know, sometimes
I'm smiling at him mischievously.
Well, you know, long day of work.
Long day of work, I know. But
like,
he always calls me his angel. And so I actually said, hey, if you think I'm such an angel, start treating me like one and get upstairs and let's do this podcast, baby. What'd you say?
Okay.
So any episode that he's on, specifically, I'm going to be asking him the question, hey, babe, what'd you do for our wedding this week?
I did a little research for my tuxedo.
Wait, I didn't even think you were going to say anything.
Oh, come on.
I'm shocked and honored.
So you sent me this TikTok
I
of
did.
this person that they had a recommendation of a place called Hockerty.
Yes.
Is the name of it. It's a custom suit and tux like website that you can like go on, and it's like honestly it's almost like Build-A-Bear where you get to like mix match on different colors. So like choose this color, it appears on your like little suit dummy
so
thing.
Cool.
You choose like the 2-piece or the 3-piece suit, and then it appears. You can do like the collar, the notches and all that jazz. It's pretty cool.
And they make it like whatever you decide. It's completely custom.
This is not an ad, by the way. This is just
100% not an ad, but can be if you want it to be.
Hi, Hockerty.
Hi,
How you
Hockerty.
doing? How you doing?
How you doing? You want him to be
Listen, I will do whatever.
Truly.
Let's do it.
So thank you for doing that. I'm so excited.
What about you? Did you do anything fun for the wedding?
Well, just been going through a little bit in my life. You know
Sure.
So I've done a lot of list making this week, I will say.
Like that?
I just, now that we're kind of like in the year we're getting married, it's like, okay, well, now 2023, here we are. Just kind of like, okay, what do I still need to do? What, like little, like things that I haven't thought of where I'm like,
Right.
okay, I need shoes. I need this headpiece.
Oh God, I need shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So
crap,
it's like
I need to
things
make
like
a list.
that. I know, we need to make a list. So anyway, but we're in good shape. So just for the listeners, moving forward, we will be every time that he's on, which will be a lot because we do live together, work together.
It's kind of easier.
We're besties for the resty. Okay, I've never said that. I'm sorry.
Who are you?
I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. I just panicked.
I panicked.
I've never said it in my life.
I hope I don't become like the person on the podcast where they're like, ugh, Aaron's back on again. Ugh, lame.
No, I think that's the opposite. I mean,
think?
the fandom alone.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
If you aren't aware, I already put his handle in here, but go check him out. He's a bit of a star.
I'm very silly.
Yeah, he's a big silly man. Everything he posts, most things you post, they tickle me. I really get a kick out of you.
Thanks, babe.
So, which is good. We are getting married, so it works out that I think you're funny.
Yeah.
And I hope that you bring the Hume to this podcast, even though we are talking about real serious things.
For sure.
I'm excited to see how baffled you are and to hear your opinions.
You told me that I'm going to scream, so I better scream at least once.
Yeah, we did
tonight.
a sound check here today where I'm like, let's do some screaming sound check because I feel like you're going to scream. So with that intro, we're talking about the murder of the newly married Sherri Rasmussen. This is a very famous case. I didn't know a whole lot about it, but I learned a ton about it. So let's begin.
Let's get into it.
You're going to fall in love with Sherri because Sherri was just a phenomenal, smart, accomplished woman. Let's talk about it.
Love it.
Sherri was born February 7th, 1957 to Nels and Loretta Rasmussen in Walla Walla, Washington, which if I had to be from anywhere, I want it to be Walla Walla.
Walla Walla, Washington.
Walla. Exactly.
Sounds
Walla Walla.
I bet you they had a really fun theme song.
Oh, they definitely did. So her and her two sisters, Connie and Teresa, were raised in Tucson, Arizona. So they went from Washington to Arizona when they were young kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were a super tight-knit, really wonderful family. Nels was a dentist and he had his own practice. And Loretta, his wife, was the manager there. They had I kept thinking like the all-American family, just a great bunch. Sherri was known to be really kind, compassionate, and warm. From elementary school, she was extremely bright, really hardworking, like as a little kid even. Her parents said they never had to get on her about homework or grades, all the usual kid things, you have to like get after the kids about. She just was naturally hardworking on her own accord. And in fact, she actually finished elementary school a year early.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. She did her 7th grade coursework in the summer of her 6th grade year.
Jeez.
So again, obviously overachiever, but also
making us all look bad.
Sherri. So she started high school early, naturally.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
And in high school, she continued on that same stride of working really hard and overall just being extremely intelligent, kind, and everyone said she was an awesome girl. Her friends have said about her that she was very hard on herself, though. She always felt she could be doing more or working harder, just that type A perfectionist person.
Makes sense.
It makes all the sense in the world. It happens to a lot of really smart people. There's a lot of pressure that comes along with it. In September 1973, she started college at La Sierra College in California, and she was 16 when she started college.
What?
Yeah. Well, she skipped all these grades and graduated high school early.
Can't relate.
Cannot relate.
And
especially me. I didn't have the opportunity to take, I went to Catholic private school and they didn't have pre-college courses or anything like that. I couldn't
really?
I couldn't do anything ahead of time. So when I hear these
stories
about
wait, they didn't have
people,
AP classes?
No.
Or really?
No.
Huh.
You had AP classes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Sherri's sister Connie was already in college studying to be a nurse at the time. And actually, Sherri's great aunt was a very accomplished nurse in the nursing field. And she really wanted to, emulate that in her own life. She really looked up to her aunt, looked up to her sister. And so as a freshman, she decided she wanted to pursue a career in nursing, which I really admire a 16-year-old that can make a decision like that about their life. I think that says a lot about the kind of person you are, that you can make a decision about the rest of your life at 16.
Well, when did you decide that you wanted to be, when did you want to be in musical theater?
I started as pre-med.
Oh, that's right.
And then I did a year. So how old are you at the end of, I guess I was 19 when I decided to start my musical theater degree.
Wow.
Yeah. And I knew, but it took me, I didn't know out of high school. I didn't know that.
I was 16 when I decided I wanted to go to school for musical theater.
Yeah. Maybe I just I'm such a serious kind of person in that way. To me, making such a big decision so young, I really admire Sherri.
Absolutely.
It says a lot about the type of person Sherri was.
No, listen, don't get it twisted. That decision should never be.
Never.
I don't know why we have to make. It's so ridiculous that we're expected to come up with that decision. But it was so great that she had that drive to, and that wherewithal to know.
Knowing, exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So at the end of her freshman year, she applied to where her sister was already studying to be a nurse. That was a school called Cold. I'm from Long Island, in case my accent comes out, and it will.
The school is called
because if I get angry, which every single one of these cases makes me angry, I become very Long Island, and I just want you to know that ahead of time.
Hey, thank God, or as we say, thank God.
Thank God. The school was called Loma Linda in California, Loma Linda. So in the fall of 1974, she began her studies there. And fast forward to 3 years later, spring 1977, her and Connie actually caught up in the same timeline and graduated with their nursing degrees together, like on the same day.
Wait, how did that happen?
Well, because I would, Sherri is just like works faster than I guess everyone else on the planet because
Clearly.
just,
Holy
yeah.
cow.
So they caught up with each, and I think that's very special. I hope that they did too. You know,
Yeah.
That's special as a parent, I would imagine. So September 1978, she decided to pursue her master's in nursing at UCLA while also working as a staff nurse at the medical center to pay her way through her master's program. This is extremely overwhelming, like a full course load and intensive training to become a nurse, like at this, like to become a master, get your master's degree at the same time.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that's a lot for like anyone. And so I hear, that these programs are just rigorous. And so in March 1980, she graduated with her master's in nursing from UCLA. She was 23 years old and officially
Wait. She got her master's at 23?
Yeah, most people are graduating college at like 22 or 23. And she had her master's.
I feel very inadequate.
And with a specialty. So she became a cardiovascular clinical nurse specialist.
That's all?
That's all.
Wow.
Whatever. In August of that year, her father, Nels, purchased her a condo where she lived with her cat, Bozo. And eventually one of her best friends named Jane, someone that she met at UCLA Medical Center, moved in as well.
Love it.
So her dad paid for the condo, but every month she gave him a check for the full mortgage. She was very insistent on being independent and especially financially independent, which, you know what? If my dad was like, let me buy you a condo, I'm gonna keep my head down and let him pay the mortgage for like a year.
Especially with that workload. My God.
Yeah, but just goes to show the kind of person she was. The condo seemed like a very secure home for a young woman to be living in. It had like high walls around it. You had to have a key card to enter, exit. It was a gated community.
Nice.
So at 27 years old, Sherri began working at Glendale Adventist Medical Center as the director of clinical nursing. So a fucking badass.
Jesus. The list goes on and on with this one, doesn't
27 years old, the director of clinical nursing at a hospital.
So she's like in charge of that entire department.
Yeah, at 27. And I bet you there's people 35 years there, you know what I'm saying? Like she's just super, super gifted. Up until this point, she's had absolutely no interest nor any time to be dating anyone. She
don't need no one.
She don't
My
need
God.
no man. She was very focused on just getting her career together and, she also just not having any time, girl. Eventually, though, in May 1984, she met a man named John Rutten, and John would go on to become her husband.
Aww.
Lucky man.
Aww.
John was a tall, good-looking guy. He was from a good family. He grew up in San Diego, California. He graduated from UCLA as well in 1981 with a degree in mechanical engineering.
Oh, and another smarty.
Mm-hmm. All these smart people.
Smart people. Can't relate.
Shut up. And worked as a computer data engineer at a company called Data Products, which think about what a computer data engineer was doing in 1984. I thought about that as I was writing these notes. I'm like, what kind of data engineering is he doing in 1984?
Probably creating, I'm not even going to try to guess what they do.
Nothing that people are doing now.
Yeah, and everything probably at an extremely smaller scale. You know what I mean? Just
and a
based
lot
on
slower.
Yeah.
At a party with mutual friends, John noticed Sherri from across the room. She was tall. Now she was 6'1".
Wow.
Supermodel status.
Okay, you had to make me feel inadequate in intelligence and height. Thanks a lot.
Not
wow.
me.
Wow.
It's this bombshell Sherri.
Sherri.
She was a tall, beautiful, accomplished woman. She just had it all. And John is lucky to be even speaking to her at this party. Let's be real.
Hell yeah.
He went over to chat and they got along and really well and clicked right away. He later asked his mutual friend for her phone number and he called her up, asked her out, and she actually invited him over to her condo and cooked him a beautiful meal.
Wow.
And which I think is just honestly such a beautiful, that's like a really nice first
Very
date.
wholesome.
It's very wholesome. And the rest was history. John described their situation as love at first sight.
Aww.
Beautiful. Sherri's family, however, was not head over heels for John, but Sherri was, and that's what mattered to them. Like her happiness was the priority, which, you know, is such an interesting statement. It's like, okay, well, we don't like him, but like if you're happy, we're happy. I'm like, are you?
What does that even mean?
What does that mean? Exactly.
Can you imagine if like your parents were just like,
yeah. No, it's shade. It means that you aren't happy for me. That's what I think.
But if you're happy, we're happy.
No, you're not.
That's manipulative.
It is manipulative. I agree. Goes on, I don't feel that way about her parents. I love her parents. But
just that statement in general.
That statement isn't, it's not the best.
It just rubs me the wrong way. I'm sure maybe it wasn't even intended, like giving them the benefit of the doubt, but it just rubs me the wrong way.
A lot of bride-to-bes, grooms-to-bes are going to be listening to this podcast, I hope. And if that is something that is being said to you, I feel like you understand the context of that sucks.
Yeah.
It's not kind. It's not a nice thing. It like, you don't actually mean it. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just being a pessimist about it. But if you say to me, hey, I don't like your fiance, but like, that's okay because you're happy. So I'm happy. No, you're not.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Sherri and John got engaged in May 1985. And instead of an engagement ring, they decided to upgrade Sherri's car. And John got her a 1985 BMW sedan. Cannot relate. Sherri, I love you. Absolutely cannot relate. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
No.
Can you imagine?
No, I cannot.
First of all, when we got engaged, we didn't even have a... Did we have a car?
Yeah. Yeah, we had a car. Yeah, we had a car.
Oh my God.
Yes, we had a car.
Time is a blur.
We had a car for a year at that point.
Get out.
Yeah. Well, almost a year, like 10 months.
Oh, wow.
We got it in August. We got engaged in June.
Wow. Okay. Well, anyway, give me both. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
They decided to take the plunge and move in together after they got engaged. So she let her roommate know, hey, Jane, you got to get out.
Get lost.
Get lost, Jane. So Jane moved out, John moved in, and that's that. When that happened, Nels, her dad, actually transferred the name of the condo over to John and Sherri.
Oh,
so
nice.
He no longer owned it. They did.
Wow, before they got married?
Before they got married, yeah.
Interesting.
All right, so maybe he didn't hate John.
Yeah.
You know.
There had to be some trust there.
A little trust. They got married on November 23rd, 1985 in Pasadena, California. And a month later, they went on their honeymoon to Sandals, Jamaica.
Hey, we're going to a Sandals resort.
We're going to Barbados.
Barbados.
But I'm so excited.
Oh my God.
So they would celebrate their first married Christmas with Sherri's family in Tucson, Arizona. Around the same time, John left his job and went to work at another job within the same field. So he had new hours now. He worked from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., which meant he now is leaving the house before Sherri.
Okay.
So on Monday, February 24th, 1986, Sherri and John wake up around 7 a.m. Sherri laid in bed a bit that day because she wasn't feeling well and in fact actually wanted to call out, which is like a big deal for Sherri. She didn't just call out. She asked John to call her later that morning, you know, no cell phones, nothing. Just kind of like, she's like, I'm not feeling well. You know, you go to work, call me later. John left the house at 7:20 a.m., which he did every day. He dropped the dry cleaning off on his way to work and arrived at work at 7:50.
Okay.
Short drive. John called Sherri at 10 a.m. and no one answered. He tried again at 10:30, no answer. He thought, oh, well, maybe she went to work after all, you know, because again, it's unlike her to call out. He's probably like, she started to feel better.
Right.
She went to work. So he actually calls her secretary. And she said, I haven't seen her today, but I don't normally see her on Mondays because she teaches a class and she doesn't stop here at the office first. She goes straight there.
Oh.
But something felt really odd to John about that. Usually if she went into work, she would turn on the answering machine before she left home. Remember answering machines?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Which is in my lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
This is the 80s. So I kind of spoiled this, but they went, you know, before you left the house, if anyone doesn't know what an answering machine is, you go to your answering machine, probably next to your phone, your main phone in the house, you turn it on, and if someone calls, the answering machine picks up.
Which in the 80s, I think it probably had a tape in it.
Yeah, and it was like super new.
Yeah.
It was like yeah. Anyway, she didn't turn it on, and he was like, it just like rubbed him the wrong way.
For those of you who don't know, a tape is it's kind of like a CD, but it has ribbon in it, and that like records sound.
Terrible.
Okay. Oh, God.
Sherri's sister Teresa, so not Connie, the girl, she graduated with, but her younger sister Teresa also happened to call Sherri's office that day around 10 a.m. She got the secretary, and the secretary said she had called in sick that day. So what I'm thinking happened is Sherri called, I'm sick and I'm staying home. And then John was like, no, she's not home. And then her secretary was like, oh, well, she must have actually
I see.
ended up coming into work, but I haven't seen her yet.
Got it.
Later that day, John leaves work at 5 p.m. He makes some stops on the way home. He picks up his dry cleaning that he had dropped off in the morning, and that gets him home at 6 p.m.
Okay.
He notices when he arrives that the garage door is open, even though he knows he definitely closed it when he left. So the way the condo is set up, there's the front view of the condo from the street, the front door, etc. And around the back of the condo, like in the backyard, there's a garage. And it's like a communal driveway. And then everyone has like a garage, but it's like this one driveway and everyone can turn into their garage. Yeah. They have neighbors directly across the way that are friendly with them, neighborly. They go on walks every single day, this couple. At 8:30 that day in the morning, they went on a walk. Noticed the garage door was closed. When they got back at 9:45, which is like a long walk, you get it.
Yeah.
They noticed the garage door was open and there were no cars in there, which is so, I remember hearing this and reading about this and I'm like, I don't notice that much,
Yeah.
Like if you went for a walk, would you notice if someone's garage was open or closed? Like, I don't know. But they distinctly like remembered seeing it closed and then noticing, oh, that's open now, and I'm like, huh, okay. So John arrives home. He sees the door open. Sherri's car is not there. He also notices glass on the driveway. The glass actually came from the patio door, which is directly above the garage. So towards the back of the house, they had like a patio, a balcony.
Like above it?
Above the garage. And there was a sliding glass door. And the glass had come from that door. The door was smashed. And that door actually led into their bedroom.
Oh my God.
So John is obviously freaked out. He parks the car, and in the garage, there's a door that leads directly into the condo, like right into their living room. He immediately enters and he finds the dead body of his brand new wife, Sherri Rasmussen, in her nightgown that she had been wearing when he left that morning.
Oh my God.
Sherri was lying on her back and had clearly been severely beaten. She had swollen eyes, cuts all over her body, and had a bite mark on her inner left forearm. Rigor mortis had completely set in at this point. She was so stiff that her arms and legs were actually slightly like off the ground.
Oh.
Like she was almost in like a C position.
Yeah.
Which, oh God, I can't imagine walking into something like that in my entire life, let alone it being your spouse. John rushes over to her. He's completely flipped out, furiously trying to find a pulse, trying to help her. He calls 911. They arrive soon after. They start gathering evidence. They complete a sexual assault kit. They get a swab from the bite mark on her arm. They get DNA samples from the blood around the scene, etc. They actually found rope and speaker wire cord by the front door, as well as abrasions on her wrists that suggest that she had been tied up with those things.
Oh God.
They found a broken vase near her body and subsequently an injury on her head that clearly came from the vase being smashed over her head. They also found broken fingernails near the front door, which points to the fact that she put up a fucking fight.
Well, yeah, if someone had to smash a vase on your head.
Sure did.
God.
The house was in
Fucking
complete
brutal.
disarray. Sherri fought. Ripped her fingernails off, fought. There was blood smear on the floor and on the walls, suggesting that, this was not, she did not go down without a fight. And, utmost respect, always, but especially when hearing stories like that, you're just like, of course, They found that she had been shot 3 times in the chest. Despite all of her brutal injuries, it was determined that the shots were actually the thing that killed her. There was 1 exit wound, which clearly the bullet had exited her body, and 2 were recovered from within her body, which were determined to come from a .38 caliber handgun. She was shot 3 times. 1 went in and out, and 2 more were in her body the whole time.
Jeez.
On top of injuries that should have killed her.
Yeah.
But it was the gunshots that ended up killing her. They found a blanket on the chair in the living room that had holes in it and gunshot residue on it. And it was thought that the gunman had held up
to be a silencer.
Yeah. So shot her through the blanket to not make any noise. 2 shots were from close range, suggesting the blanket, was there in between the gun and Sherri. Detectives note on the crime scene there was blood smeared on practically every surface. There is a staircase that leads to the second floor where electronics were piled at the bottom of the staircase, like a VCR and a disc player. So, it's like a living space. And in the living space, there's about 4 or 5 steps that go up to the bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And at the foot of those stairs, there was electronics. It appeared like
a burglary.
Yeah, it looked like
cluttering everything.
Maybe
up.
someone was coming in here for this VCR, which
or they were like planting it that way to make it seem that way.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Well, that's what I would think, but
that's stipulation.
Yeah. On top of the disc player is a bloody fingerprint. Additionally, in the living room, the coffee table had a drawer in it, and the contents of the drawer was like spewed everywhere. They also noted Sherri and John had recently installed an alarm system, and a bloody handprint near it suggested that she had tried to like trigger the alarm.
Oh my God.
And she just didn't make it, which rips my soul like out of my body. Like I can't, she fought for her life, and it was clear there was a massive struggle. Everything was ripped apart, shelves destroyed, and as we mentioned, the patio door was smashed. All of this, and yet there was no sign of forced entry to the condo.
Well, that's peculiar.
Yeah, things were knocked over. It looked very staged. Nothing was actually taken. Nothing of value. Like, in fact, Sherri's jewelry box was there. No one touched it.
Yeah.
Lead detective on the case was Detective Lyle Mayer, and he didn't do the best job.
Good.
Yeah. He basically was like, okay, it's a burglary gone wrong, and let's wrap it up. Let's just get out of here. Just gotta go do stuff. There had been some burglaries in the area, and in fact, 2 months after Sherri's murder, there was one within 5 minutes of their condo. It was extremely similar. They had a handgun, a similar setup in the condo, and they both appeared to be stealing some sort of stereo equipment. So the theory was that these burglars broke in for the stereo equipment, didn't think anyone was home until Sherri came downstairs. Basically, it was like, what the fuck are you doing here? And they killed her. And all the madness, they forgot what they had entered the house for, the stereo equipment. But they took her car.
Right.
So makes zero sense.
So wait, they've done this twice now.
Yeah, one, they just killed her, and they then forgot the stereo equipment, and then they're like, oh God, we have to rob another house and take it.
Yeah, the other one they actually robbed. Okay.
I could see why you thought maybe they were related in some way.
So the other case, did that happen before or after?
After.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. It's very, you're going to find out it's super botched. Sherri's car would be found 10 days later, about 2 miles from the condo with the keys in the ignition, looking completely untouched. So there was one thing taken from the burglary, and it was a marriage certificate. The only thing missing from their condo was their marriage certificate.
What?
Is that a red flag? Is that a red flag to you?
That's very bizarre.
It wasn't a red flag to the detectives. Cool. So
why would a burglar take a marriage certificate?
But leave the stereo equipment and kill someone.
What?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm confused.
So detectives concluded ultimately it was 2 males who had recently robbed this other condo 2 months after Sherri's murder. They drew up sketches and said, okay, this is who we're looking for. They did have a look at John to, appear that they were doing their jobs, but he had no motive to kill her. They were happily married for 3 months. And in fact, he had gotten her flowers that day because it was their 3-month anniversary.
Oh my God.
I know. He had an airtight alibi. He was at work the entire day. It was easily confirmed. And, it wasn't him. So John got home at 6. At 1 a.m., Nels and Loretta, Sherri's parents, were informed. It's a long time.
That is a long time.
John never called that. Interesting.
John didn't call that.
No. So like I said, at 1 a.m., Nels and Loretta were informed. And Nels immediately said, you need to look into John's ex-girlfriend.
Oh.
What? Okay. Nels didn't know her name, didn't know anything about her, didn't know any information about her, but Sherri had opened up to her dad a few times at this point that John's ex-girlfriend had behaved like a psycho. She also happened to be an LAPD officer. And those are the people investigating this murder. When Nels told the detectives, they literally said this to a father who just found out his daughter was murdered. You need to stop watching so much television.
Okay.
See, this is where I get arrested. So let's talk about this ex-girlfriend, okay?
Okay.
Her name is Stephanie Lazarus. She's an LAPD officer. She was born May 4th, 1960 in Santa Monica, California. Her and John met at UCLA when John was a sophomore and Stephanie was a freshman. They were college friends. They both lived on the top floor of the same dorm building, Dixter Hall, and a bunch of folks on the dorm floor all became very good friends. Stephanie was athletic, outgoing. She and John were on very different pages about what their relationship was. Stephanie was very serious and into John, and John was very serious into just, being casual, good friends with her. They had made out a few times over the years, but never had sex. They went on trips to San Diego together. Stephanie actually became very close to John's family, like his mother, Margaret, and brother Tom, and sister Janet, and even, other family. They all thought that they were in a relationship. They had a very close friendship that clearly Stephanie was into it. Like, it was super muddy. John graduated UCLA in 1981 and moved into an apartment of his own. The summer after he graduated, Stephanie and John slept together for the first time. Stephanie graduated the next year, and their friends with benefits relationship continued. They would see each other a few times a month, and they'd have sex, and they went on trips together, and etc. Like, cute, like, John.
Yeah.
She loves you, bro.
Yeah. But not cool, dude.
Yeah, not cool, but like, it is an aspect of reality. Like, this stuff does happen. And like, I don't know. She was a willing participant.
Right.
Whatever.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
After Stephanie graduated, she entered the LAPD. After academy, she purchased a condo, and John and his brother actually helped her move in, set up the place, painted the place. They were very close. She was very close to his family. Like, to me, it almost sounds like they were more like siblings, but I don't want to. Okay, it sounds gross when you like say the extra part, but
I don't like that.
Like, he didn't see a future with her,
right?
And she did. And John, like, I think knew that, and then continued to sleep with her, like, whenever he felt like it.
That's not okay.
It's not okay. Not okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we can all agree that's not great.
You're guilty of being a dick.
Yeah. Did you say Jonathan?
Is that his name?
John.
Oh.
Just John.
Well, that's usually short for Jonathan.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
John is a name. Jonathan is another name.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, it is.
No.
Stop it. You're not saying this to me right now.
Wait, are you serious?
You think my Uncle John's name is Jonathan?
I don't know. Maybe.
No.
Oh.
Oh my God. John the Baptist? You think his name was Jonathan?
Maybe Jonathan the Baptist.
So after a while, John is seeing other women and has been literally the entire time that he's been sleeping with her.
Jonathan. Damn it.
According to him, they were just friends who like mess around sometimes. He even said he didn't feel the need to address it because he thought like it was really obvious and like understood. And Stephanie like understood. I'm like, John, you're a fucking moron.
You're so dumb.
Stephanie knew that he didn't love her and didn't have feelings for her like the way that she, did. And it was heartbreaking for her. She would like vent to her friends, write in her journal about it, but never spoke to John about it. Because God forbid we like confront issues.
Yeah.
We love that. So now fast forward, it's June 1985. Sherri and John just got engaged and Stephanie is devastated. Like, she thought one day he would come to his senses and realize, oh my God, I love Stephanie. And, it just wasn't happening.
Well, I hope not now.
Yeah, but like when she heard they got engaged, she's like, are you serious? Like,
Yeah.
I thought he was in love with me eventually. Like, he would just wake up one day and realize, oh my God, Stephanie. Didn't happen. So the day she finds out about the engagement, she actually called John, like hysterical crying, saying, please come over. I need to see you. And John agrees. John goes. Okay, so remember, this is June 1985. Sherri and John do not live together yet. And Sherri doesn't know who Stephanie is. Never heard of Stephanie.
Wow.
Yeah. He gets to Stephanie's. She's in hysterics. John says, listen, I've known you for 7 years and I've never seen you so distraught. And like, she starts confessing her love to him. Like, I've loved you this whole time and I just can't let you get married without me telling you this. And John was confused. Like, he felt like this, like, I've been so clear. I just don't feel the same way. Which John, baby, no, honey, you knew. Okay, but whatever. And Stephanie was like, okay, fine, but can we just sleep together one last time?
Jonathan, I swear to God. Jonathan
agrees.
Jonathan! God,
I told you we were going to yell.
Jonathan,
he's engaged.
Fucking asshole.
He's engaged.
Oh, God.
And he literally was like, I feel so bad for her. Like, she loves me so much. Maybe this will just give her closure if I just fuck her one more time. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So, okay, let's just recap for a second. He's sleeping with this girl for 7 years, despite the fact that he doesn't feel the same way about her, but knows that she's literally in love with him. And he's finally engaged, and he agrees to sleep with her one last time because closure.
Jonathan, that's not how closure works.
Jonathan doesn't know anything. Sherri was obviously the smart one. Obviously.
Well, yeah, we knew that.
So let's fast forward to July 1985. Stephanie decides, I'm going to visit Sherri where she works.
Uh-oh.
Sherri, like, they don't know each other. Sherri doesn't know who Stephanie is.
Yeah.
Let alone know that she just slept with her fiance. Like, doesn't know who this person is. She shows up to the hospital where Sherri works in a provocative outfit, which they describe as a tank top and shorts, which...
Very provocative.
So provocative.
Indeed.
Sherri later said about this that she felt like when she was telling the story to someone, she was like, I felt like she just wanted to show off that she was like athletic and fit and make me feel like not athletic and fit, I guess.
Sure.
So when she got there, Sherri's secretary said that she was at lunch. And so Stephanie was like, no problem, I'll wait. And Sherri came back. Stephanie approached her and said, hey, can we talk? And Sherri's like, okay. And she goes into Sherri's office and they have a chat. Stephanie leaves, and a while after, Sherri comes out of the office, and it's clear that Sherri had been crying. In fact, she decided to actually head home early that day because she's like, I just can't be here, which, knowing Sherri and her work ethic and like how much she valued her job and people's time, like that was obviously she was devastated about something.
Right.
Think about it. A stranger shows up
Yeah.
that you don't know and says God knows what. So yeah. Sherri calls her parents that night to tell them what had happened that day. She said, John's ex showed up to the office and said, if I can't have him, nobody can. And when your marriage fails, I'll be there to pick up the pieces.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, can you imagine someone doing this to me?
God. God.
What do you think would happen?
Oh.
Talk about it.
Oh.
Tell me. What do you think? Tell me. Tell the listeners.
It would not be good. I feel like someone would be doing a true crime podcast about the situation.
Stop it. Oh man.
So wait, she didn't tell Sherri about
She did.
Okay.
We're getting to that, but
okay.
She did say, she's like, yeah, we slept together. And Sherri's like, who the fuck are you?
Right.
You know?
But I mean, she's not lying.
She is not lying. But like, imagine just like not, I would imagine, I know this happens to people.
Yeah.
But I can imagine the shock of that. Like this stranger first of all, showing up to my job. How do you know where I live? How do you know where I work? Like this is crazy. When John got home that night, Sherri told him everything that happened regarding Stephanie's little visit to her office. And
Jonathan.
She also mentioned, hey, Stephanie mentioned you guys had sex.
Jonathan
fully admitted it right away.
Now you're calling him Jonathan.
Which, I know. His name is actually John Rutten, everyone, but we're going to call him Jonathan every now and again. So John fully admitted to it right away. He was like, I made a terrible mistake, but please don't let it ruin everything we had. LOLOLOLO pop.
Can you imagine?
Jonathan.
Can you imagine? Jonathan.
Bro, my little Jonathan, man, if anybody ruined anything, I think it might be you.
Yeah,
and not Sherri.
That's some victim blaming 101.
Sherri ended up forgiving him, and he never contacted Stephanie again. And not even to say, hey, what the fuck was that about? He never even said, are you kidding me? You went to her work? He didn't do even that.
It's for the best.
For the best. Sounds like she's not going to be reasoned with.
It sounds like, and I feel like Jonathan's a little flip-floppy.
Yeah. On August 6th, Stephanie sent John's mom a letter. And to be fair, John's mom actually sent, they were that close. Stephanie was that close with John's family. They would send each other letters and stuff. To be fair, John's mother had sent a letter first, and then Stephanie actually responded.
Okay.
I'm going to read the letter. Dear Mrs. Rutten, I wanted to thank you for the pictures. The reason it had taken me so long to respond is because I had to build up my courage. For now, I don't know when or if I'll ever see you and your family again. I do want you to know a few things, though. I'm truly in love with John, and the past year has really torn me up. I wish it hadn't ended the way it did, and I don't think I'll even understand John's decision. I do want you to know that your family has meant so much to me. I really have learned a lot from your family, and I hope someday I can find someone that I can care for as much. I hope if you ever need anything, you'll contact me. Love always, Stephanie. P.S. Say hi to your husband and Janet. So yeah, our girl Steph couldn't just like let it be, right? Yeah, no, she's like, no, okay, I'm gonna just like write the letter and stuff. So at some point between December 1985 and January 1986, Stephanie shows up to their condo. Just randomly shows up because she showed up to the hospital, Sherri's place of work, and then she was like, I'm gonna go to the condo. I can't help myself.
How does she keep getting these addresses?
Yeah, good question. Well, she's a cop.
True.
She showed up with a pair of skis.
Like skis?
Like skis.
Going down the mountain skis?
Like they live in Southern California. Just want you to know. So she's like, she knocks on the door and she's holding skis. Imagine just like someone knocking on your door holding skis.
I can't do that.
No, I can't.
I literally can't do
I don't think I've ever seen skis in person.
You know what? Now that you're saying that, I think I'm exactly in the same boat.
So she knocks on the door and she goes, John, can you wax my skis?
Give me a fucking break.
And he did. He let Stephanie stay in their house and he waxed her skis. Sherri called her parents later that night and was like, okay, so she stayed a long time and I was super uncomfortable. And Sherri ultimately had to be the one to be like, hey, Stephanie, it's time to go, because John didn't ever tell her to go home. Sherri was like, do not wax those skis or like take them inside. And John did. John was like, well, hey, listen, if I wax her skis, she'll be out of my life forever. Like that was his logic.
No, because next is going to be a fucking surfboard and then a fucking...
The logic is so good. Like if I just wax these skis, then this'll be the finale. As we thought, his theory did not pan out because the next week she showed up again. Steph comes knocking on the door.
Does she have more skis?
No, she came to pick up her skis, actually.
Oh.
I guess she left them.
Oh.
He was like, leave them and come back. Like, what the...
Wait,
like,
wasn't his whole logic all waxies, then they'll never have to see her
but
again?
I've never waxed skis. Do they take like more than 5 minutes? I don't know. I don't know.
I have no idea.
So Sherri was concerned how she even was like getting into their condo community because it is gated and you need key card access. So she's like, how does this woman at my front door? Again. This is a shorter visit though. She literally came and got her skis and left. So Nell, Sherri's dad, later had the thought after all of this that he thinks that Stephanie was there not about her skis, which I feel like is a good assumption. She was there to look at the condo, get a peek at the condo, see where things are, get a lay of the land, which I think is
not a bad idea there.
It's a good idea.
Pretty good assessment.
It's important to note that when Sherri would tell her parents what was going on, she actually never named Stephanie. She just referred to her as like the crazy ex.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So when all of this went down later, like when the murder went down, he was like, check the ex-girlfriend, but he didn't have a name.
Know the name. Oh, wow.
But he was like, I know that she's LAPD. Ask John. Ask John what her name is. This is still not the end. It's a weekday in the middle of January. And Sherri decided to stay home a bit later than usual in the morning before heading to the hospital for work. John had already left for work. At around 10 a.m., Stephanie shows up in their living room. Sherri didn't hear her come in. She didn't hear absolutely anything. No knock at the door. She just literally comes into her living room and sees Stephanie standing in her living room in uniform.
How did she get in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sherri's like, what the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out of my house. And she goes, I'm here to see John.
What the fuck is happening?
Sherri later told her dad on the phone about this and said ultimately John didn't have the balls to stand up to Stephanie. Sherri's father suggested...
You think?
Yeah, you think? Can you imagine me saying to you, your ex broke into our house today, and you're like, don't worry, she's harmless.
Oh, that's Stephanie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Again? Fuck.
Exactly.
I have to deal with this now.
And you want to call the police, so her father suggested, like, Nell said, like, call the police, but she is the police. She's part of the LAPD. So Sherri was concerned about not like making this a bigger incident than it was. And that's the thing. Listen to me now. Overreact, people. Do not worry about how you're going to look or like you're going to embarrass someone. Apologize later. Overreact.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sherri wouldn't have been overreacting, but it's like, Sherri was worried about making it a bigger deal than it was. That is someone broke into your house. Like, This is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming Sherri for absolutely anything. This is not Sherri's fault. But it's just let this be a warning to us all that, like, we need to overreact. Do not give a fuck about how other people are going to feel about it.
Or just react normally to someone breaking into your house.
But I think like human nature is to downplay emotion or downplay like the panic. But I do want to like talk about things for people that are listening to this. This isn't just me telling the story of horrible things. It's me saying, let's learn from these things. And that would be one of the things I'm probably going to talk about every episode is I would rather overreact than underreact.
Yeah.
Like it is worth it. If you are concerned, if you have that feeling in your gut, listen to it. Even if no one else understands.
For sure.
So Sherri had been telling her parents she thought she was being followed actually as well. There was a specific incident that happened on a Friday night when her and John went out to dinner at like a very open concept kind of layout restaurant. And she saw someone looking at her. And when that person noticed Sherri was looking at her, they moved to a different location. And she told her father later on the phone, she had said that this person looked like they were dressed as a man, like it was a female dressed as a male. Also, you know, when John moved into the condo with Sherri, they would get calls like often, like several times a week where someone would just call like repeatedly and then they'd answer and there'd be no one there. Or they'd like hang up right away. All the while, Stephanie lived in a condo of her own with a roommate named Michael. She would vent to Michael about this entire situation, even told him, hey, I went to the hospital to see her. And you know what? She's not that good looking. She's not better looking than me. She was like saying these type of gross things that people do say, you know? And he ended up moving out of Stephanie's condo 2 weeks before Sherri was murdered.
Wow. I wonder if it was because she was like, you know, going off the handle with this sort of stuff. Maybe.
He probably, I don't know, maybe.
Or maybe he just left.
Or maybe he literally just left. I'm not really sure. So all of this to say, Nels, Sherri's father, was like the whole time that he found out his daughter was murdered, he was like, this is not a burglary. Like, please check into this girl.
Yeah.
Like, she has called me time after time telling me about these weird things that this girl has done to her. Look into her. And they're like, yeah, no, not interested, man. Nah, we're not gonna do that. It's a burglary. It's a burglary. Relax, Nels. Detective Meyer doesn't make one single note about Stephanie in the case files.
Are you kidding me?
He doesn't even interview her. Nothing. Despite the fact that both John and Nels said, look into Stephanie. John said it too. So the LAPD, we're going to learn a little history lesson about the LAPD, has a system of documenting everything that happens in a case like minute by minute, so that if someone comes into the case like halfway through, or if someone has to like take over, they can look back, like every piece of information is documented. It is handwritten and then eventually typed up, but they keep like both copies. It's called a chrono. Okay. Like chronological, but they call it a chrono. It's the events of the investigation in chronological order.
Got it.
The first 3 months of the chrono for Sherri's case got lost. They lost the original handwritten document of the entire case file.
Huh.
Yeah. So ultimately, the only written mention of Stephanie was this little tiny write-up where it said basically John Ratton called. He talked about Stephanie Lazarus. It's his ex-girlfriend, period. That was the entire investigation on Stephanie Lazarus. At this point, the case is essentially closed. They said this is a burglary and the case goes cold.
Well, this is infuriating.
Over the next few years, Sherri's parents stay on LAPD's ass and they keep asking for updates all the time. But there's like, I can't imagine the helplessness of that.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. And in 1993, the lead detective actually ended up retiring. So Detective Meyer retired. And they were like, oh yeah, so maybe we're actually going to get somewhere. Like we're going to get a new guy. Like this is great. At the very same time all this is happening, DNA technology is like booming right now. It is really like this catastrophic turning point in detective work. All of these cold cases are being reopened. They're like, cases that had adequate evidence. Right. They were solving them.
Yeah, because like I remember you saying that there were like bloody fingerprints.
Oh, they had a lot of DNA. Yeah. So Nels is thrilled. He thinks, okay, we might get somewhere. We might move this forward. He makes an appointment to talk to LAPD and meet with the new detectives on the case. And they immediately are like, it's a burglary, dude. Like, there's no evidence. They say they don't have funding for DNA. Like, there's no new leads. Like, let it go. They literally were like, move on, bro.
Okay.
So Nels was like, oh, you don't have funding? I'll pay for it. Yeah. I will pay for all this DNA testing. They were like, nah, not interested. No, thanks. Interesting, but no, we're good.
Cool.
So they literally let the case go cold again. Years go by.
This seems very fishy.
Yep. Years go by. Okay, get ready. Jonathan and Stephanie get together. He is walking away. He is walking away. Can you fucking imagine? But like, let me tell you this. John called the LAPD detectives on Sherri's case. And he was like, hey, listen, I just want to make sure, like, she definitely didn't do it, right? Like, not even a chance. And they were like, no, like, you're good. And he's like, okay, great.
Jonathan, I swear to God.
Can you imagine though, like feeling the need to call and make sure, like you already have your answer, bro. If the person you are currently having sex with, you feel like might have murdered your fucking wife, maybe don't. Like if you need to call a detective and essentially ask permission.
I'm very tired.
Anyway, they went on a scuba diving trip together to Hawaii.
Great. Awesome. I'm so happy for them.
And then they had sex together a couple times after, Sherri died. Just like whatever.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They never formally got together because duh.
Yeah.
Again,
oh my
Stephanie
God.
Still's like
John's like, wait, this isn't serious, Stephanie.
Like even after all this, John still won't make her won't date her.
What's labels? What is this?
John. Not that you should ever date Stephanie Lazarus, but John.
Oh my God. But twice?
But twice.
Admit it. You were dating. Like, come on.
You guys were dating.
Come on.
They even I'm going to post photos about this on my Instagram.
Yeah.
They literally had professional photos taken together.
What?
But 1980s, in JCPenney, holding hands, Stephanie and John
no.
before he met Sherri.
Wait,
when they
have to see these.
I'm like, of course they were of course Stephanie. Believe me, I'm not feeling bad for Stephanie, but how could she not be confused about this?
Yeah, yeah. This is
whatever.
This is very exhausting.
So time goes on. They actually end up losing contact with each other. All of that.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, all of that, and they're like, they just lost each other's number. All that work.
Oh my God. I don't mean, listen, I know this is serious.
No, it is serious, but it's fucking ridiculous.
It is.
This story is ridiculous. Sherri deserves so much more than this bananas story.
This debauchery.
Yeah.
This fucking ridiculous.
All of that, Stephanie, and you guys lose contact? Oh, whatever. So anyway, they lost contact, right? Stephanie ends up marrying an LAPD officer named Scott Young in 1986. They adopted a child together.
I'm so over this case.
John also moved on, had kids, got married. They both had different lives.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. So in the years following, Stephanie became actually a really highly respected officer with the LAPD. She worked her way all the way through the ranks. She was a DARE officer. So she was the person going into schools, talking
gross.
to kids about making good choices.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine?
Wait, you went to Catholic school. Did you ever?
I never had DARE.
You never had to do drug abuse resistance education?
Oh,
that's what DARE stands for.
Oh, wait.
Drug abuse resistance education. Yeah.
Stop.
DARE.
Yeah, no. I thought it was students. No. Wait, no.
That's DARE doesn't start with an S.
I thought it was.
Oh,
What's
yeah, the silent D
one?
in student.
Students against drunk driving. What's that one?
I don't
Students against drunk driving. Oh, SAD.
Yeah, not DARE. Literally not DARE. Completely different word. One is a verb, one is an adjective.
But can you imagine this woman, knowing what you know now? Which I haven't even told. I feel like you could assume what happens here.
Oh, gee, I wonder.
Yeah, but she was the one talking about morality to these children.
Oh, my God.
So.
Also, can we just talk what a real failure that DARE was?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It literally taught you where to get drugs.
Which
I remember learning stuff. I was like, damn, this is a lot of information.
I remember and if my best friends were listening, which they probably are, which they'll all be guests, we used to we used to hear about, we were such little angels, but we had so much fun together. We had the best time ever, best childhood together. But people were like, there's just drugs everywhere. And we're like, where?
Yeah,
like we
how do I
have
get
never.
those?
We're
How
like,
do I get a drug?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Where do
I
you buy
still
the
don't
drug?
know. I still don't know.
I still don't.
I
I
have
don't
no
want to
idea.
know.
Me neither. Don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Dare.
So on top of that, she also worked in the Internal Affairs Department, which is the department that investigates officers and determines if there's corruption or shady business.
How convenient.
So like she literally is one of the lead officers investigating other officers to make sure they don't commit crimes. Meanwhile, she, spoiler alert, murders someone. So
Get out of town. She murdered.
I didn't want to give it away.
Wait, really? She murdered Sherri? Get the fuck out of here.
In 2008, she started working for the Department of Art, Theft, and Fraud. And as a department...
Wait. Hold on. Art, theft, and fraud?
Yeah.
Like art? Like painting?
Like, I mean, art is so many things, Aaron.
Why is it a department in the police?
Well, because there's like expensive, like the Mona Lisa or something, if someone like stole it. Or like made fake Mona Lisas.
Oh.
That's like a whole, that's like...
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I got it now. I'm just like...
It's like Stephen Sondheim, like, got a parking ticket.
They're like, yep, that's definitely a Picasso. Thank you, officer.
I love how I said Stephen Sondheim got a parking ticket. You said Picasso.
Honestly, I should have said a musical theater thing, but like, I don't know. I just
Yeah.
thought fine art.
Yeah, well, I had a professor that told me to live where art lived one time.
Where's that?
Just, that's the answer. Where is that?
Okay.
Right?
I'm exhausted by that.
I'm exhausted by remembering it, and I had to live it. So, but it's still one of my favorite sayings. So anyway, because it means nothing.
I'm part of the art department. I just can't get over it. I know, I'm sure it's very serious and it's like important work.
There's actually photos of her like posing with like paintings.
With like Starry Night. Fucking.
I'm not kidding. There's like photos of Stephanie Lazarus in the like Los Angeles Times, like posing with a painting.
Holy shit.
And she like looks like, and this, okay, we need to talk about Stephanie Lazarus, the way she looks.
Oh.
Because I don't care. I'm going to tell you.
Is
She looks like Jim Carrey, the mask, is like a person. Like
not green.
Not green. Like,
I need a picture of this.
let me show you what she looks like.
All right, we're going to pause real quick.
Okay, you're literally not ready. This is some
nervous.
still shots that someone took of her interrogation tape. Okay.
Okay. So I'm getting both. I'm getting like what she looks like and the interrogation photos.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great.
Doesn't she look like the mask? And like when you see her face in action.
Oh my God. Wait.
Because she's like this.
Yeah.
And the way she talks,
Wait,
like she's moving through those faces for like an hour.
The first one is like the Grinch when he's like, when he got the evil, awful idea, he goes,
literally.
oh my God.
Her face is
Wait, you
she
need
got
to
like
put this,
buggy
you
eyes.
gotta put
and
this
stuff.
photo up.
I am. And then let me show you like a regular picture of her face.
Oh my God.
She's scary looking. I'm going to post all of this on the Instagram for this. And you can't eat, like you look at her and it just like all makes
just
sense.
like waking up to that.
No, it's terrifying.
Those eyes, I mean.
We're not even up to this in the story, but I'm gonna post a full interrogation video. The way, listen, I'm an actor, so I can talk about someone's acting performance, right?
Oh, sure.
0 out of 100.
Wow.
She is so like they're like, do you know? And they purposely. Okay, I don't want to give it away. Let's
get to it.
So in 2008.
LIPD Art Department. We heard you were ransacking some Picassos in here.
But apparently that's like risky business. Risky business. They have a whole department for it. Think about it. Backtracking a little bit, in 2001, the LAPD's cold case homicide unit is established. With the advances in DNA, the LAPD was given $50 million in their budget to go back into these cold cases and utilize this new technology to solve cases.
Sounds like you got the budget now there.
The ones that had enough
Officers?
evidence.
Hi, guys. I think you have enough money now. Interesting.
So in 2003, a detective submitted Sherri's case. In 2004, like this is how slow moving this is. And like, I just feel for her parents.
Bureaucracy.
I just feel for her parents. Like, ugh. In 2004, a lab technician named Jennifer Francis, we love Jennifer Francis. Services.
Oh, Jennifer.
Picks up the case. So she starts testing blood and fingernails. It all comes back as being Sherri. Now remember that bite mark on her left forearm?
Yeah.
Well, she wanted to test that. She's like, okay. She's like reading the case file. She's like, okay, this is a bite mark. Okay, like just obviously not from the victim, right?
Yeah.
I want to test that. Can't find the evidence anywhere. Interesting.
Interesting.
It took
more disappearing evidence.
Yeah. It took the coroner's office 6 hours to find the specimen. And it was all the way in the back of a freezer. And it had been there for 18 fucking years.
In a freezer?
In a freezer, in the coroner's office. There was this little specimen, and it was the swab from the bite mark on Sherri's left forearm.
Interesting.
Yeah, which there was no other evidence. So they clearly were trying to hide things, destroy things, and it seems like they forgot one thing.
Yeah.
So she tests the DNA. The results come back in January 2005. So long.
Yeah, what the heck?
And it's a female's DNA. She runs it through the criminal database, no match. She contacts the detective on the case and they brush it off. They're like, okay, so it was a female burglar. Can you imagine? So Jennifer Francis is looking in these case files. She's like, it didn't sit well with her. And I love that. I love people that do their job with integrity.
Yeah.
Period.
Absolutely.
So she was like, I'm looking through these case files. I want to see like what females were in her life. Who could this be? So there was one nurse from the hospital that Sherri worked at that kept coming up in the case files. They apparently didn't get along very well. So she said, hey, detective, what about this woman? And he was like, oh, that LAPD officer? No, not her. And she's like, I wasn't referring to an LAPD officer. I didn't see anything about an LAPD officer. I'm talking about a nurse.
Oh, well.
And he's like, oh, not her. So
when are we going to give this up?
yeah, well, guess what? Case goes cold again because he immediately dismisses it. It is February 2nd, 2009, and a detective named Jim Nuttall picks up the case again. He's going through cold case files and comes across Sherri's file. The file says it's burglary with 2 males, but the DNA is a female's DNA. So he goes, okay, well, this doesn't add up.
Good job.
We love Jim.
We love Jim.
He takes it seriously from the get.
Finally.
Like, he's like, okay, well, let me get more detectives on this. We love Jim.
Are they going to brush him off too?
No, Jim's like, absolutely not.
Okay, good.
So they start going through the files and they collect every female name, which is 5 women that were mentioned in the case files. And they said, okay, well, we have to start eliminating them. We have to get their DNA and start eliminating them.
Great.
3 people were eliminated very quickly. It was her mother, her sister Teresa, and her roommate Jane.
Great.
The 4th was that nurse. Her name is Deborah Putnam. And it turns out that actually Sherri had taken her job. So they didn't get along.
Oh, I see.
And she actually was like not cooperative. She was like, I'm not giving my DNA. But, you know, she discarded something and they picked it up and she was eliminated.
Okay,
so,
good.
Yeah. So the only person left is Stephanie Lazarus. Now, remember, Stephanie Lazarus at the time is a very respected, high-ranking person on the force. I would assume, yes, she is, in fact, their superiors. These detectives, she actually works across the hall from them.
So could they do like a similar thing like with the nurse and just be like...
They could, but it's like they had to really...
like
be really on the down low with this because a lot of reasons. They didn't want to be wrong. You know, they didn't want to accuse this LAPD fellow officer of being involved in a murder if she wasn't.
Yeah.
Because that would look terrible. So they actually ended up using a code name in the building. They called her number 5 because she was the 5th person mentioned.
Okay.
They had no paper trail.
Okay.
They would only talk about things with each other. And then nobody knew about this unless you were like working on the case. They didn't like gossip about it. They didn't talk about it, ask opinions, nothing. Like it was very hush hush. She had no idea this was happening. They also didn't want to risk the chance of another LAPD officer covering it up.
You know, I mean, that just speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need to get into it.
Yeah. They found out that in the 80s, LAPD officers had a backup gun. Besides their gun on their holster, they had a backup gun on them. And it was a .38 caliber gun. And that was the type of gun that killed Sherri.
Huh.
13 days after Sherri's murder, Stephanie had ironically filed a police report with the Santa Monica Police Department, not her police department, like not the one she worked in, that a blue bag was stolen from her car and it contained her .38 caliber revolver. from work.
How convenient.
She did not report that to her work, her job.
Mm-hmm.
She just reported it. So there was a paper trail that it was missing.
So wait, she didn't report that her gun went missing?
No, not to her job. She reported to Santa Monica Police Department.
Okay.
She works for LAPD.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
So they had undercover cops following Stephanie in hopes that she would like just drink something and like throw a cup out and they'd pick it up and test her DNA. Eventually, she goes to Costco. And who can resist those free samples at Costco?
Certainly not me.
Not Stephanie, that murderous loser. She ended up having a soda at some point.
Okay.
And threw it away. And an undercover cop was like, amazing. Went over, picked it up at the right moment. They tested her DNA and she was an exact match for the bite mark on Sherri's arm.
Who'da frickin' thunk it?
So the two detectives take the case to two newer detectives. At this point, that's really important because they didn't know who Stephanie was. And they had no bias.
Good, Jim.
Yeah. They take it to the DA and they get a warrant for her arrest. So on June 5th, 2009, this is what happened. They didn't want to make a big scene and just like go and arrest her at LAPD headquarters, like in her office. I would have.
Well, yeah.
I would have loved this. Oh my God. But they just didn't want to do it. Respecting her, whatever. Ugh, stupid. So they staged a fake interview in the jail, which is in the basement of the LAPD headquarters. And they said, hey, we got someone who stole art or something. We need your help.
Lucky for them, she is the head of the art department.
And the good news is that in order to get down to the jail, you have to relinquish your guns. So she would actually be unarmed.
Oh, good.
Which I'm like, what do you think? She's going to shoot you? But you know what?
I'm going to go ahead and say maybe.
So they approach Stephanie and say, hey, look, we got this guy in jail. He's involved in art theft. Can you give us a hand interviewing him? And she's like, oh my God, sure. I'm the art girl. So
that's how she said it too, I bet.
So they get her down to the basement, lead her into an empty interrogation room. And she's like, where's the guy? And they're like, you know what? There's no art theft, actually. And they interrogated her for an hour, which there is a video of on YouTube, and you have to watch it.
Oh, this is what you were screaming at. And,
it is the worst acting.
Talking about being busy and stuff. We've been assigned a case that we've been looking at. Okay. It's a new case, and reviewing the case, there's some notes to see as far as your name being mentioned.
Okay.
Do you know John Rutten?
John Rutten? John Rutten?
Rutten.
Oh, yeah, I went to school with him.
You did?
Yeah.
How long was there ever any relationship or anything that developed between you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we dated, what's this all about?
Well, it's relating to his wife.
Okay.
Okay. Did you know her?
Not really. I mean, I knew that he got married years ago.
Uh-huh. Did you ever meet her?
God, I don't know.
Or what she did for a living, or where she worked, or anything about her?
Well, I think I'm going to say that I think she was a nurse. Man, I can't even remember how he said he met her. I mean, it's been so long ago. Again, I don't understand why you're talking about some guy I dated 1,000,000 years ago.
Well, do you know what happened to his wife?
Yeah, I know she got killed. I can't even remember if we had a conversation. I mean, we may have. I may have seen her at his apartment. Geez.
Do you know what the circumstances were regarding her death?
Geez. Oh, let me think back. Geez. I don't know if it was, if it was a burglary or something. It's been so many years. I can faintly think that I may have saw a flyer.
Do you remember her first name?
Shelly, Sherri, I don't know, something maybe, like I said, it's been so many years. And
well, that's what I'm reading, is that you guys had problems with each other and words are being exchanged, and it's all relating to John.
You know what? I can't say.
You can't say?
No, that doesn't even ring a bell. So,
I mean, it seemed like, you would recall something if somebody's going off on you, right?
I would think. I would think.
I'm looking at the notes, and people are kind of, they're pointing the finger at you.
It is a work of art. You have to see it.
And she would know. She's the head of the art.
The head of art.
That's
she was
a Monet,
like,
all right.
She was defensive.
That's my favorite. This is my
as
favorite joke.
Fuck, it's so good. She was defensive as fuck, acting like she knew nothing, and was like panicking at certain points.
Oh, I'm
which
sure.
is like beautiful to see. She can't remember anything. She can't remember Sherri's name. It's like absolutely insane to watch. Her eyes literally bug out of her face. And I wrote here in my notes, she has a stupid face. So I'm going to say that.
Oh my God.
The detectives are questioning her, and they are careful since she's a cop and she like knows what they're doing. You know,
Right.
she like knows the tactics. But I feel like those instincts like fall apart when you're like guilty.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I feel like the most seasoned cop, if you're like literally a murderer and they caught you, like it's hard to get out of that.
Yeah, you'd have to be like prepared for an
She wasn't. She was
interrogation.
completely shocked
Yeah,
by
she was
this.
blindsided.
Yeah, it had been 23 years.
Yeah.
23 years later, she got away for 23 years. So they end up asking her for a DNA sample. They're like, just give us a DNA sample and this will all be over. You don't have to worry about it. And she's like, so they're like, will you give us a DNA sample? And she goes, maybe. And she goes like, I guess I need to call someone. I guess I need to call a lawyer and ask, I'm not giving you anything until I talk to someone, like immediately, like that.
Huh.
And they're very kind to her. I mean, she's their superior.
Oh yeah.
A few days later, she's formally charged with murder. She pleads not guilty. Bail is set as $10 million, which is astronomical. That is wild. But she's a huge flight risk, and she's also married to another LAPD officer with access to guns and firearms in their house and everything.
Yep.
Almost like 3 years later, the trial begins. That's a long time.
God, it never ceases to amaze me, like how
Yeah.
long the criminal justice system takes to like do things.
She was in county jail for like 1,000 days or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah. By the time she actually got like sentenced, she was in jail for like over 1,000 days.
Well, she's making up for it since she was free for.
They give her credit for that, though.
I hate that.
I hate that too.
But what I was saying was she's making up for it with the 23 years she was out scot-free.
Yeah, no, truly. Stephanie is claiming innocence. The thing about it all is that, like, of course she is, right? But we'll never know what really happened to Sherri. And it's like we can conclude, we can theorize.
Can deduce.
The prosecution theorizes that Sherri was upstairs in her bedroom. Stephanie gets into the house somehow. Either the door was unlocked at the time, like John just didn't lock it on the way out, or Stephanie picked the lock because it turns out that Stephanie had like a lock picking tool set that she would like to show off to her friends. And she had a few books about lock picking.
Oh,
and
interesting.
She
so
actually
I guess
had
we figured out how she got into the house.
She actually had an entry in her journal from that week of the murder about picking locks, which like who writes about that in their journal?
I'm so exhausted by this case.
So she finds Sherri in her bedroom upstairs and just shoots her immediately, like takes a shot at her. The shot goes through Sherri's body and hits the patio doors, shattering the door.
Okay.
Because the glass was broken from the inside out. They have a struggle, probably a big struggle because, as we know, the house is in disarray. Like her blood was everywhere. Her fingernails are ripped off. Like, eventually Stephanie shoots Sherri using the quilt to muffle the sound and shoots her twice more in the chest, killing her. So the bite mark, which ends up putting Stephanie finally in jail for Sherri's murder, was determined to be either when she was dying or when she was already dead.
I think it's safe to say it's probably the first, but I mean, who knows? We'll never know.
Both are fucked up here.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But also like
if you're trying to hold
these and I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm obviously glad that she was a dumbass and did this, but like why would you do that? Like why would you bite her? And leave your DNA behind? Well, because at the time, DNA didn't exist like that. Stephanie had no alibi because actually she was off for 3 days during the murder. She was off for 3 days that week and she committed the murder in those 3 days. So no one knew where she was. She wasn't at work. The amount of misconduct in this case by the LAPD is astounding. They didn't even write her name down. The father and husband of the murdered victim had said Stephanie's name so many times and they didn't write her name down.
Yeah, the number of times that the case went cold when there were ample opportunities to investigate her.
If you
disgusting.
think she's innocent, interview her and clear her name. Rule her out. The jury deliberated for 24 hours, and on March 8th, 2012, Stephanie Lazarus was found guilty of first-degree murder of Sherri Rasmussen. March 11th, she was sentenced by a judge to 27 years to life in a state penitentiary. She immediately appealed and was denied. Sherri's family tried to sue the LAPD for mishandling, but the statute of limitations caused it to not be able to.
Fuck the statute of limitations. Because you fucked up for that many years, they don't get repercussions.
Right.
Fuck that. It was your fault that it went cold for that long.
Absolutely. And like, I can't.
What a joke.
I can't. What a fucking joke, right? And I can't imagine being a parent and being in that situation and like knowing literally from the jump, like, oh, I know exactly who killed my daughter, and no one believes you.
Yeah, fuck that.
I actually don't know at the time of like in 2012 if her father was even alive or what the deal was. Like, I don't know.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But like, if he had to die, like, you know, it's just a terrible situation. And John like spoke at the sentencing and stuff. And
wow.
Yeah, that's the story of Sherri Rasmussen, a brilliant, gorgeous, incredibly kind, warm human being taken by a jealous killer.
And protected by a fucked system.
Yep.
I said it. I'll say it again.
No, absolutely. How could you hear this case and think otherwise? And John, he has a wife and kids, and he's older, and you didn't deserve this kind of trauma in your life at all.
Let this be a warning to like people, first and foremost, don't string people along in a relationship, but also like see warning signs.
Yeah.
I guess that's the first and foremost. See warning signs when things aren't right. Like if someone breaks into your house, like, come on.
Oh my God.
Come on.
And if someone like tells you, hey, I don't like this. Hey, I'm scared. Hey, I'm uncomfortable. Believe them.
Especially your wife.
Especially your wife. But also if you are, you know, you can't predict that someone would do something this atrocious and violent. You can't. I mean, maybe you could. I don't blame John for assuming this wouldn't happen. I mean, it doesn't sound like Stephanie was a violent person.
Right, but it got to a point where it's like, okay, there are things that could have been done to maybe protect Sherri, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Restraining order.
So
that's
the case. And there's lots of lessons to learn here. At the end of it all, Sherri deserves so much better.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that she would have done so many amazing things in this world.
Yeah.
And I feel for her parents. And on a lot of levels, I feel for John.
Overreact, everyone. Overreact.
Overreact. Guys, overreact. Do not worry about looking stupid. Do not worry about what people are going to think. Don't worry about blowing up someone's spot. Overreact. Apologize later.
Yeah.
It is so much easier to ask for forgiveness.
If you're in a situation.
Yes. That's the lesson. And I think that'll probably be the lesson most of the time here on this podcast.
Absolutely. Well,
anyways.
Great job, babe.
Thank you. That was a lot of information.
I did.
Was it a good story?
You got me to scream. I think twice.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate all of you. And we will be back next time with a brand new case.
Maybe with somebody else or maybe with me. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see as the daily. So that is the True Crime Bride. My name is Meghan Miles, and thank you so much. Catch you next time. Hey, make sure you're following the True Crime Bride on social media. You can find me on Instagram at True Crime Bride, on TikTok at Meghan Miles NYC, that's MEGHAN. You can email me at truecrimebridepodcast@gmail.com. And if you would be so kind, please leave me a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. This really helps the podcast and will help me keep delivering awesome episodes to you every week.